welcome to another episode of the Joy Mentor. Today, we have a very colorful guest, and I'm super excited about it because what she's going to talk to you about today is something really different than anything else, but it's definitely something that boosts your happiness. So this is the right lady. So I'm going to read her bio so I don't mess it up at all, and then we'll get to talk to Jen. All right, Jen Thoden is an Amazon best-selling author, speaker, and entrepreneur. She is passionate about helping women discover who they are and what truly makes them happy. Her debut book, That's My Color, Discover Your 5 Signature Colors to Transform Your Life, is an instant Amazon #1 bestseller. She covers topics on color analysis, authenticity, and confidence at yourcolorstyle.com. She also has an incredible YouTube channel, which I love, and I've been on over and over, titled Your Color Style. Jen's mission is to help women transform into happier versions of themselves by being true and authentic. So she's the founder of Color Style, an exclusive color system comprising of color palettes, products, and programs to help women over 40 discover the colors that make them shine. She has also launched the Color Style Consulting Program that empowers individuals to build a business, helping women discover their colors, just like we're going to talk about today. So she is the go-to expert on color. Jen, look, I wore all this color today in your honor.
You make me sound so busy.
You are busy and you're so talented. You are. I love your YouTube channel. I watch your YouTube channel a lot.
Thank you.
So it inspires me, and I'm fascinated by all of it, all the color. So Jen, if you would, we're talking about happiness, but would you kind of talk about like your reason for doing this business, and like, were you always happy, or how did this whole thing come about?
Oh, deep question and a big question. The topic of happiness is a really interesting one because I believe that if you had asked me if I was happy 10 years ago, I probably would have said, yeah, I'm happy. And I don't think I knew that I was unhappy until I understood what happiness really meant to me. So about 7 years ago, I really hit a really low point for me. And it was sort of a moment where a bunch of stuff sort of kind of happened at once and put me into this place. Several years before that, my oldest daughter, Kelly, who was 7 at the time, was diagnosed with cancer. And you can probably imagine that anyone that has a child that's diagnosed with a disease like that, and she had bone cancer. A lot of people want to know what kind of cancer. It was bone cancer. She had a tumor in her leg. And, you do what you do as a parent and as a mom, and all energy goes into trying to fix her, right? Trying to make her better. And I have 2 other children, Matthew and Mindy, and we, for the next 2.5 years, did the best that we could. And during that time, I remember that there was just no stopping. And I remember very specifically putting everything and putting Kelly first. And if Kelly was okay for the moment, that I needed to make sure that Matt and Mindy were okay. And if they were okay, I needed to make sure that my husband was okay so he could work. And believe it or not, I was actually running a business at that time, not this one, but another one. And so it's okay. I was a little crazy, and everybody needed to be okay. That was my definition of what a good mom should be, or a good wife should be. And it was go, 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 nonstop, nonstop, nonstop. And when Kelly was just turned 9, shortly after that, she did not win the battle, and we lost her. And you imagine the hole and the kind of vacancy that was left, especially since it was all about Kelly for 2.5 years. And there's this hole, right? And instead of just pausing, I look back on this now, instead of just pausing and taking it in and making sure that everyone was kind of dealing and okay, I just filled it. I filled it, and I was like, well, I got to make sure everyone's happy. I got to make sure everyone's okay. And I put me down at the bottom, and put everybody else first. And we got busy. We were doing like taekwondo, we were doing soccer, we were doing everything and filling up that void as much as possible. Well, we were living in Texas at the time, and we moved back to Virginia closer to our family. And our marriage was not doing well. We were struggling. And so I sold my business thinking that would make my husband happy. And, looking back on things, I'm learning a whole lot about you can't make anybody happy, but I did what I thought I was supposed to do. And it didn't work. So I found myself, and this is about 7 years ago now, I moved out, and I'm out in my townhouse, and it was shortly after Christmas, and the kids had they were at their dad's. And it was the very first time for me where I finally stood still. And there was no one to make happy. There was no one to take care of. And it was literally just me, myself, and I. And I remember very well because the cable wasn't installed yet. And I didn't even have TV to watch. And it was just this moment where it was just really dark and lonely. And I had this oppressive sense of loss. And it was a loss of my daughter. I was, still healing from that. It was a loss of my marriage and a lot of guilt and shame wrapped up in there. But mostly it was this loss of self, this profound sense of, oh my God, I don't know what to do. I don't know who I am. I don't know what I want to do. I don't want to, here I am, I'm alone, I'm divorced, I have 2 kids. And I just felt completely lost. And it was not a good feeling. And I'm not one to I don't like to feel that way. Yeah. So I remember thinking, okay, this doesn't feel good. And I should probably figure out what it is that I want to do now. All right. So this is the next chapter. What the heck am I supposed to be doing with my life? I have no idea. So, and, I sold my business, so I didn't even have that. So I literally started to kind of Google things like, how to find yourself and how to get to know yourself. And I actually came across and joined this life coaching program. And a lot of it was about getting to know yourself. But what triggered the color was we were doing this lesson, if you will, on self-image. And, your self-image has everything to do with your happiness, your fulfillment, your success in life. And I had a very low self-image of myself. And just at a very basic level, I didn't like who I was. I didn't like the way I looked. I had put on weight. I just, on top of just not being a happy person, not being fulfilled, very low self-image. And so one of the things that they had talked about was that, well, you can make small steps. And one of the small steps you could do is improve your appearance. If you look in the mirror and you like what you see, you start to positive think. It's a cycle. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna learn how to look better, because up until then I didn't even know how to dress. So I literally started searching how to dress, and I came across the magical color analysis. Oh my God, I was so excited. This is all about color. And it was color that you could wear that was flattering. And I have a fine arts background that was literally buried inside of me for years because life just took over. And I had this, color. I'm like, oh, I can wear a color. This is really interesting. So I analyzed myself, and I found I was a spring. and I got my little color swatch book in the mail, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna go shopping, and I'm gonna buy myself one of these colors. And I realized when I looked into my wardrobe that I had literally no color. I mean, talk about being literal and figuratively a colorless world at that time. So I went shopping, and I picked up this one blouse. It was coral pink, not this bright, lighter than this, but it was supposed to be a color, supposed to be really flattering. And I remember I was like, okay, I'm going to wear this to work. I'm going to wear it to work. And I was so scared. And it seems so silly now because it's just a color, but when you've not if your life has been beige and your wardrobe is beige and everything has just been kind of like whatever you put on your body, and now you're going to wear a color, like I was literally like, people are going to say something. They're going to like, what are they going to think? They're going to be like, oh, what is she trying to do? Look at her, where, you know, because if you're doing something different, you're going to you it's very vulnerable, right? You're going to stand
Yeah.
out. And that's how I felt. I felt completely exposed, even though it wasn't even a bright color. And the thing is, though, is I wore it and then I got all these compliments, and people were like, oh, you look so pretty today. And that's a great color on you. And did you lose weight? That was my favorite.
I understand that.
But I didn't. But I was like, oh my God. And so the thing is this, is that I know that people say, you know, you should always just dress for yourself. You shouldn't dress for other people. But the reality is that sometimes you need a little validation, and sometimes you need a little bit of just a little bit of a boost. And that's what it did for me. It gave me a little bit of a boost. And I was like, okay, I got this. All right, I can do this. And it was one little thing I did for myself for the first time in a very long time. I allowed myself to do something where I thought, this is going to make me look better. But what it did is it also made me feel better. And then I became obsessed, and I studied every color analysis system under the sun. I got certified in like 4 different things. And my entrepreneur freak flag was flying. I'm like, this is a business. I am going to do this, because if this can work this well for me in such a simple way, then oh, I can do this for other people too. I can do this. And so that's basically how the business was formed. But I will tell you, it was not Your Color Style when I first created it. It was a blog, and it was called Outfit Ideas for You. And I'm so embarrassed to the terrible name for a blog, but that's what I called it. But what happened was, is I started to attract a lot of people that were interested in color analysis, and they were interested in seasons, because at the time that's what I was doing, was seasons. But they were individuals that weren't fitting into the seasons. They were middle age, and or gray hair, or colors they worked well on them when they were 20 weren't working on them now when they were 40 and 50. And I started to realize that not only was the idea of helping women find color was something I was super passionate about, but I realized that there are women that are going through all kinds of change in their life. It doesn't have to be a death of a child or divorce. It could be good things. It could be positive things too. It can be a new relationship, or going back to school, or just simply empty nest, or whatever it is. But they're going through something, and they need that boost too. And where the seasons kind of left them behind because they didn't fit in some perfect little niche, that's where Your Color Style was born, because I pulled up my fine arts background and I took another look at things, and I realized, okay, I can simplify this, and I can make this so that it includes everyone. So women with dark skin, brown skin, gray hair, both can now fit, if you will, in a color palette that works for them, versus trying to figure out like these really very specific niches that if you don't fit perfectly in, then you feel a little lost, and nobody wants to feel lost, right? Confusion really takes people off. So so yeah, so that is really how color came about. And that is really in a way the fuel to my fire as far as authenticity goes, because it got me started. It got me moving forward. And my life is very, very different now. And I look back and I realize that that was my moment where I kind of triggered myself forward, So
That's an incredible, moving story. You
thank you.
are amazing. And I just like, we've all been in those dark moments and dark spots. And I can't even imagine having gone through what you went through, Jen. Like, I was a kid that was in a wheelchair, and that my parents were told I had a bone cancer that they didn't even understand back at
Wow.
that point. And so I always wonder, like, how, because I have 2 children now, they're grown, but I always like, how could that have been for my parents to hear? Like I was told I would never walk again, and like all these. And so I can't even imagine your experience, but you are a triumphant, strong, beautiful woman. And to have
Yeah.
taken what you went through and now turn it to the good of serving other people is, man, that's phenomenal. So sorry that your story was really touching.
Oh,
And
thank you. And I'm glad that it moved you, inspired you. Every time I tell it, I get a different vibe and energy that comes out because I relive it a little bit, but at the same time, I hope that it helps people know that you don't have to stay in a dark space. You're going to feel sad no matter what, right?
yeah,
It's helping, it's doing small steps that you can figure out what you want to do next and finding some purpose, because it's really easy to get stuck,
yeah, it's
you
easy.
know?
It is easy to get stuck.
It's really easy to focus on something that you can't control.
Oh my
And
goodness, that's exactly it though, because that's
yeah,
really, I try to, when I help people, it's like some of the things I talk about is their expectations,
yeah.
because expectations can really add to, and sometimes people have this expectation that they're always going to be happy, and there's no
Right.
such thing.
Mm-mm.
That's not being a human being. And so I love your vulnerability because that's the truth. You know, we do
Right.
these things, but when you find a way to help others move forward, that's a beautiful thing that you
Yeah.
went through to start taking care of you, which is like, you're right. Most of us, especially as women, we don't take care of ourselves. We are profoundly expert at taking care of other people, and we can really get wrapped up in that. So
Yeah.
I love
So,
that. You're speaking to the caretaker in
uh,
me as well. I just got
cool.
done taking care of my mom and my
Mm.
brother. Um, yeah, for a while before my mom passed. And yeah, I understand the experience, right? It's easy to get lost. So I love
It's
that.
lost.
So
Yeah.
I love the idea of color and happiness. Can you talk to us about how, like, wearing a certain color can actually help other people be happier?
Oh, wow. Well, I don't know about making other people happier because, in my opinion, can't make people happy. That's simply the case. But I will say this. I believe that every color and every person has an energy. And when you as a person put on a color that makes you feel good, so it's a color that, let's say, that makes you feel powerful and makes you feel on. Like I always intend to wear colors like this when I'm on camera because I feel good and makes me feel powerful, right? And there's energy. And if I walked into a room feeling good, people receive it, and it's contagious. It's just like as if you walked into a room and you're in a crappy mood, it's also contagious, right? People are like, oh, they either kind of don't want to go near you, or you bring them down with you, whatever it is. And
Yeah,
so when you're feeling good and your positive energy is going out like that, it is a contagious thing, and it can lift people up around you. It's a very contagious thing, and so that energy it's really, really powerful. And so it's not always the color, it's the person that's wearing it and how it makes them feel. And that, I feel, is just a very powerful thing. It can completely change a person's day.
I love
Just,
that. And it's
you
so
know,
true. As an executive, obviously, I would wear like power colors, especially when I was going into the boardroom. And I would wear, and I remember some of them just almost make me laugh, but I had this bright pink pair of pants that, like, I loved them. I wore a black blouse and this bright pink pair of pants. I still have them. And I loved how I felt because I was mostly surrounded by men, very few women. And
mhm.
so, but it was like, yeah, I'm here, all of me, right? My femininity. But it's funny because it does boost your confidence. So, can you talk about how women wearing like their colors that are their particular color palette, like
Yeah.
how does it help them boost their confidence?
So, I feel like each different type of color kind of resonates a different type of mood and type of energy, And so I'm well, let me back up a little bit. Well, we'll probably talk about that in a little bit, but let's talk a little more about the confidence thing. I think there's a different answer to that. When we wear a color that is something that a color that we really like, that's in our, and especially if it's on our color palette, because we know that it's supposed to flatter us and that I'm going to look good in it. I kind of see that as like a creative self-expression. It's sort of like if I was a complete blank canvas and I chose a color to wipe, to paint on me, it is my expression of myself at that moment, of what I want to say, what do I want to project, and who I want to be in that moment. And sometimes it's not going to be a bold color. Sometimes it's going to be gray or a neutral, because you're just feeling quiet that day and you just feel like that's what makes me feel good. It makes me feel at home. I'm going to be wearing those colors. So it's no mystery why sweats are always in like muted colors, not all the time, but often, in grays and stuff, because it's a very comfy, low key kind of thing to wear. But you can also change your energy. So if it's a kind of day where you've woken up and you're feeling tired and you're feeling a little low, and you know that you really could use a little bit more of a boost to get through your day, that's when you can go and pick up a color that it's not going to fix everything, but it's sort of like, I'm going to pick up this color. I love teal. I'm going to wear teal. I'm going to put it on. I don't feel good, but I'm going to put it on anyway. And then you start to go through those motions in that process, and you see yourself and you love the color. And it's sort of one of those things that sort of act as if, and you start to kind of put that energy out, and it can actually really help. It's kind of in the same boat of get up and do your hair, take a shower, pull yourself together, and it can really just shift your energy enough where you can have a more productive day. You can have a more positive day, and you're not stuck in that low place. Doesn't solve everything. It's a mindset thing, right? It's what can you do to boost your confidence. And so, if you've got some go-to things, some go-to colors that you love, you can just kind of blindly grab something and just try to shift that energy and boost that confidence, because it's an expression of yourself, and when you get to be truly you and yourself, like your pink pants, and you get to kind of just be authentically you, it is the best feeling. It feels good to just, this is me. This is me. And it feels good. And it takes a little courage. Sometimes it takes a lot of courage to kind of be yourself, right? I mean, if you want to wear leopard print pants, go for it, own it. Nothing's more beautiful than a woman that just owns her style, owns her thing, and just, this is me. I got this. It's not always about the color that flatters you best. It's about how you feel once you put the stuff on,
That's so true. That is so true. You just explained like a lot that happens when we wear different things, but never having realized it or thought about it before. And I love what you said about women owning it, because that is the coolest thing ever. I swear, we get so caught up in our weight and so caught up in these things. I see women all the time that are, smaller than me or larger than me, but they are feeling beautiful in what they're wearing. And you just turn around and stare at them.
Yeah.
Because they have that whole thing going on. Has nothing to do with the size, has totally to do with that energy and that vibe of I'm beautiful. And I think that's what people really pay attention to. I really do.
I totally agree.
If you want to attract somebody, feel beautiful, right? Be smiling and feel beautiful.
Right.
And it absolutely brings people in. Whereas if you don't, it's just like it sends out a signal. So I love that you're talking about that energy, like that's wild. But I've done that. I have one particular color, and it is a green, and it is a teal. It's teal. It's a certain color of teal, and I love it. And I don't have anything in the spring or summer with it. I can't wait till fall, because I've got 4 sweaters that have teal in it. And it's just like, I feel gorgeous when I have on teal. And you're right, people recognize it. So then you get more of that positive feedback too, which is nice for everybody to have.
Nothing snuffs out your spirit more than wearing something you think you're supposed to wear. I mean, I know that there's certain, dress codes depending on where you are. I totally get that. You can't get away from that, culturally, socially, business, whatever it is. But when you dress it a certain way because you feel like you're supposed to, and nothing can squash your spirit more easily than that, especially when it's something you don't want to wear, or it's, boring or whatever it is, or the opposite of boring, and it makes you feel super uncomfortable. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's so interesting because it does squash your spirit. That
Yeah.
is what it does. You actually feel like, yeah, I'm so grateful because now, especially as an entrepreneur, I wear color all the time. And I was that executive, that was
Mhm.
in all the meetings and doing all those things. But I always wore something that I liked, but
Yeah.
but a lot of times you're right. It was like, oh, it's a gray day, it's a black day, it's just all plain. So I love that you say that, because I definitely feel like it helps my spirit. And I can tell it does yours too. So,
Like a color everywhere.
so my next question is, how is it possible to wear like 3 colors and that helps our authenticity?
Okay, so I have this thing called signature colors. I don't know if you read my book, it's right there.
Yeah,
But there's
wonderful.
5 total, but there's 3 that are really easy, and I love these because you don't need a color analysis to wear these colors, and they're authentic because they're already part of you. They're already a natural part of your coloring, and so it's an extension of your authenticity. So I'll give you the 3. The
Okay.
first one is called your blushing colors. These are the colors that naturally come out of your cheeks and lips. They're commonly the colors that you would use for your lipstick and blush. It's not going to be as bright as this, although I suppose it could be for me. Meaning like I could be, but it's a little too bright for me. It's a little less than this. And so you can think of pinks, blush pinks, lighter versions of this, and cooler pinks for someone who has cooler undertones. And these are colors that you don't even have to wear makeup sometimes. If it picks up those colors in your cheeks, it's just a very flattering, it's a very engaging, very friendly color. And so when you want to appear more approachable, especially if you have to wear something more corporate, you can layer in like a light pink blouse or sweater, and you now have a little bit more approachability, a little bit more friendliness about you. So it's an excellent color to go out with friends with, or even on a new date when you don't want to look, out there with a bright red. Then you have your eye-popping colors. Eye-popping colors is exactly what it sounds like. It's the colors that when you wear them, people will say, oh my God, your eyes look so green, that sweater, or they're so blue, or whatever. Now, the people with dark eyes that are watching this might be like, well, that leaves me out. Thanks a lot, Jen. But the reality is, for most people, even with the darkest eyes, if you put light on your eye, you're going to see a color. For golden brown eyes, you're going to see that mustardy golden yellow. And for the cooler brown eyes, you're going to see a little blue, little navy blue probably, or a little cool brown. And those are just perfectly in harmony with you. It's not going to be the same thing as wearing blue with blue eyes, but it's super flattering colors, and it's a really good energy color. So you always just know if you put a color on that matches your eyes, you've got it. You're on. And then the third color is your, I call it your grounding color. It's really kind of your best neutral in most cases. It is the color that kind of pulls out the deeper tones of your hair. So for me, for example, it might be a camel brown. And it's a color that I use the word grounding and not neutral, even though in most cases it is a neutral, because it's a very typically a more of an earthier color. You feel a little bit more grounded when you wear it. It's not going to be, it's very neutral in that you're not going to feel like you're standing out or sinking in, because it's going to be in such harmony with you that it's just going to be a really nice look. And I usually say to pick out the darker tones, because if you go with the lighter tones, you might look a little washed out, like a little too matchy, right? Yeah. And, so people with gray hair might pick a darker gray. People with red hair might pick a dark, deep, orangey, like a burnt orange almost, that that picks up the deeper tones, or a deep maroon, depending on what color their hair is. And so that grounding color can be something that's also extremely authentic, very in harmony, and you just feel like yourself because it is you. It's just a little enhanced.
It's so funny because it's like everything you talk about, like intuitively, we know this is true because
Yeah.
I know exactly what those three colors are, which is so funny. But I know what those three colors
Yeah.
are. And I've never had it expressed before the way you do it, which is beautiful because you simplify it and you make it so easy for us. But I do know. So that's crazy. I bet
Yeah.
everybody knows really what it is, right?
And those three colors, you can have fun with them because they kind of go together.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you picked out nothing but just those three colors, you'd actually have a pretty good mix and match wardrobe that would be so unique to you and so different enough where you'd really stand out stylishly. Like people would be like, "How do you do that?" And you're like, "Just do."
It's funny because you're right. I see women all the time, and they have followed that, but I never realized it. And they are like, you turn around and think, "Wow, that looks stunning." So it's
Yeah.
interesting, especially from a woman who, for a long time, I swear, I just wore black because I thought it made me look thinner. Right? I mean,
Lots of people
not
wear
a
black. I
happy
still wear
thing.
black.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
I
I
know I'm
love
a
black, but
color girl, but I love
not
black.
having to hide. Now
Yeah.
it's like, it is what it is.
Yep.
So my other question is, like, what colors age us? I'm of that certain age bracket now. And so what colors like actually make us look older?
So it is not necessarily about the color as much as it is the depth. So as we age, a lot of us tend to get a little lighter, right? Our hair starts to gray, and therefore lightens up. And sometimes our skin gets lighter, sometimes our eyes get lighter. We all age a little bit differently, but the most noticeable is the hair. And what we want to do often is color it and cover up the gray because we feel that the gray is going to make us look older. And what happens is that our natural tones are lightening. So if you didn't color your hair, you'd maybe be all gray with your skin color and eye color, but you are significantly lighter than you were when you were a redhead or a brunette, and now you're lighter. But a lot of people want to darken their hair and put it back, but Mother Nature wants you to be slightly lighter, and that darker hair can really age you because it's amazing that when you see people actually grow their hair out, they look younger. They actually, there are so many women in my group that have like done the brave thing and grown out their gray, which is hard because if they've been coloring it dark for so long, they have a line and it's uncomfortable. But if they get through it, the before and after photos are it's almost hard to believe it's the same person. And not because it's dark hair versus gray hair, but because they actually look younger in the gray hair. Now, I'm not saying, oh, you have to go gray to look younger. What I'm saying is that pay attention to your natural tones, because when you go too dark, it can really, really age you. It can, so you naturally a silvery white and you decide you want to color your hair black because it's the only color that will stick to your hair at that point, it's going to make you a little older. Those harsh tones are going to start to pull out some of those lines, and it's just not, it's time to maybe try some kind of transitional thing instead, something that's a little bit lighter, a little less harsh. So
I love that. And I didn't even know that we got lighter as we got older. I guess I hadn't even realized that or noticed that, but
well,
that's interesting too.
we lose pigment, and we're all very, very different, right? Women of color, they don't necessarily lose a lot of pigment in their skin and hair, their skin and eyes, but they'll go gray, right? And women that have red hair will almost go to white hair almost overnight. They just, for some reason, it's a very common thing. They have so much pigment in their hair, and then by 40 or 50, they've gone completely white.
Wow.
And of course, the natural inclination is they want to keep coloring their hair. But if they just, sometimes when they let it go gray, it goes like took a really pretty strawberry blonde gray, and they're much lighter than they were when they were vibrantly red. And I'm not saying it's easy. you identify yourself a certain way, and now you're looking in the mirror and you're seeing something different. And I'm not saying that that's an easy thing to accept, but sometimes your natural authenticity is just so beautiful, and I think it will make you feel more like yourself. You don't have to try so hard. You shouldn't have to try so hard. You're you. You should, embrace it, love it. This is coming from the naturally blonde woman that doesn't have to worry so much about
Yeah.
gray hair right now.
No,
So,
but
I mean, I'm trying to be sensitive to this.
I love your message, because what your message really is to be authentic, is to be yourself, and to
And
love
here's the
yourself
thing,
that way.
coloring your hair may truly be your authenticity. It may be that is just,
Yeah,
that is
yeah.
you, and you own it. And I'm told, so that's what I'm saying. I don't want to tell people, oh, if you color your hair, you're not being authentic. No, 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 no. I'm just saying, do what you really want to do instead of what you think you're supposed to be doing. You think
Well
you're
said.
not supposed to be gray. Well, is that true? I don't know. Is it true for you? And that's a really hard thing to come to terms with sometimes. You got to get real with yourself. You got to be like, do I really want to do this? And if the answer is, yeah, I do. I really want to color my hair. Then do it. Then go. I kind of secretly want to color my ends of my hair pink, just
I
cause.
love it. I love it. And
I'm totally chicken. So see, I'm totally chicken. Like, for no reason. Like, where am I going to go? Everyone's working from home
so
now. It's
cute.
not going to even see it.
You know what? And you just exude beautiful energy. You do. You just exude it. You have brought so much color into our world today, and color helps everyone. So it's like you're just a doll. I thank you so much for taking the time today. So everybody, I want you to know that Jen's website is right down below, and she has tons of resources there. You need to go look at the amazing resources that she has for you. And she also has a free gift. So will you tell them a little bit about their gift?
I will tell them about their gifts. So I mentioned the book. That's not the free gift. Don't get too excited. But you can get it on Kindle. It's super cheap. However, there's a course that comes with it, and it's called Discover Your 5 Signature Colors. And it's an online course, has 5 videos, one for each color, and then I show you how to work through your colors. So we talked about 3. There's actually 5, so there's 2 more that you get to learn about. And the course is offered to you free. So if you follow the link that's with the other stuff there, then you'll have free access to it. And that's my thank you for enjoying this conversation and obviously attending the event. So.
Jen, I cannot thank you enough. Have a magnificent rest of your day. And thank you for bringing us all closer to our colorful and authentic selves. You are really special. So thank you so much. Have a great day.
Bye. Thank you.